God will not make itself manifest through cowards. God will not make itself manifest through cowards. What New Thought leader said that? Do you know? Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his essay on the Oversoul, which was greatly an influence to Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind philosophy, because it discusses the one life and one mind that we all live within. But what in the heck does that have to do with today's message, right? God will not make itself manifest through cowards. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to just recap what we've been doing this year so far. So our intention this year is 2020 vision, balancing and bringing a greater spiritual vision into focus. And so something I love that happens in January is that we kind of get back to the basics. We are reminded of the fundamental philosophy and principles of the science of mind. And for those of you who have been here for a million years, or those of you who are just coming in, I think it's a really great reminder. I love it, because then I reread the chapters in that big chunky textbook that looks scary and overwhelming. This is chapter 16, Principles on Successful Living. It is not that complicated or hard to read. So the first week, we got grounded in this fundamental principle that consciousness is the ground of all being. So before any atom, any planet, any solar system, or single-celled organism, before any and all things, there was life principle. There was spirit. There was spirit, a divine intelligence. And that, out of itself, created all things. So there is really only one power, even though sometimes it feels like we're divided between good and evil or right and wrong. There is only one power. There is only one life, and we all live within it. Does that make any sense? Okay. So then we build on that with week 2, which is the power of thought. Because this is the science of mind, right? Dr. Ernest Holmes, he used to call it the science of mind and spirit, which I like, kind of like that better, because it reminds us that we are a philosophy, but we are also a faith and a way of life. And we are centered in a divine spiritual understanding. And so within this thing that I'm going to call God or consciousness, or this universal spiritual thing, the thing itself, I guess, is a law. A law like any physical law of the universe. It's a tool that we get to use to create things, to create our lives. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But last week, we really touched on, we used like the first 3 steps in the 12 steps of recovery to remind us that there is a higher power and that we can surrender ourselves, our small self, to that higher power and allow it to move through us in greater and greater ways. So this is the premise that we build upon. But before I go any further with this, before we get any further into discussing the principles for successful living, I want to invite someone, I have invited someone to share with us his thoughts and feelings. I had a meeting with him about a week ago. I'm not sure exactly when, very recently, and he shared something that I felt was so inspiring that it was truly the demonstration of what the message this morning is about. And in honor of him, I would like to, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to invite up Bill Wolfe.
So much love here. It's such a blessing to be here. And I feel grateful and empowered and alive. And I want to share some things with you. Thank you for the chance to let me speak. I really appreciate that. I wanted to share about my life a little bit and about a bit of history, which I realize as I talk to more people, I have a history here. So, but it all started about 40 years ago. I was in Hawaii. I had the opportunity to open a theater, and I had a great time. It completely, if you've ever been to Hawaii, it's just life-changing. It is a powerful, if you connect with the spiritual energy of it. So I had the chance to live there. I came home, and my sister Lenore said, you got to try this place called Religious Science. It's kind of cool, and it fit in alignment with what I've done in my life. And so we came to the Huntington Beach Church of Religious Science, which was a little 500-seat place that turned into way more than that over the years, with incredible ministers like Reverend Peggy Price, Reverend Peggy Bassett, who changed my life in many ways, and other wonderful ministers. And then I moved on to the Costa Mesa Church with Jim Terrell, is now in Irvine, and a very special, wonderful community as well. And then I took a kind of a little change over here. In my earlier life, I'd been in a Methodist church as a music director, but this led me to the Episcopal Church. And the Episcopal Church, I worked with Father Leo Booth. I don't know if you know him, but he's a character and a half. And so this was in El Segundo, and I had the chance to be the music director and the choir director, and I played the organ, which I'm not that great at, actually, but I did well for my time there. And anyway, I was playing on one Sunday with Leo Booth. He was speaking, and he was speaking about freedom. And he said, he was talking about how great all the freedom that we can have in our life, and then he turned to me and said, I'd like to thank Bill Wolfe here, who brought me into religious science. And of course, this is before he was moving from the Episcopal Church to the Religious Science Church. I think he's in Unity now, but it was like, I was shocked, honestly. This person had kind of outed my experience of life, but anyway, it was interesting. And then from there, I was led to this particular place, this beautiful, wonderful, spiritual home, that we all feel the energy here. It is so joyful and alive, and I am deeply grateful for each one of you. I feel totally blessed to be a part of this community. The incredible growth, learning, supporting the loving ministers of Reverend Peggy, Reverend Josh, Reverend Nicole and Michael, 2 marriages to Cindy and to Diane, and my relationship with Dean Spain. Our wedding was here. His memorial was here. Both the memorials for both of my parents, Caroline and Dave, who did come to the church. They were members here as well. The opportunities to collaborate with such talented musicians. I feel so blessed on this journey. It has been joyful, challenging, crazy, and most of all, loving. It has been a blessing to watch the music grow and change here, to be a part of that change, and yet unique in my own gifts that I give to it. Last fall, in mid-November, I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know, I just woke up out of the blue. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I felt this calling. I felt this urgency. And it was like this divine message to choose to make a difference, to move on. This affirmation came to me loud and clear. Wonderful new doors of success are opening to me in every single area of my life as I boldly step into my greater yet to be, courageously and joyously. And I felt so empowered by that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is my destiny and power to move on. Through my work as a musician, I realize, and have for many years, that every job you have is a blessing, a chance to give, a chance to share from your heart, to make a difference in a loving and humble way. I'm doing my spiritual practice all the time in the work that I do, wherever I am. I'm incredibly grateful to all the ministers, practitioners, musicians, and you, this wonderful congregation. You will always live in my heart. I will be around as I can. And I need to back up here because I kind of got mixed up. I didn't share this one part. Within a couple of days, after I had my experience at night, I was on my phone and a position came up. It opened. I just looked at my phone and went, this is powerful. So I thought, okay, God's giving me the message. So I have since had an opportunity to go to the Unity of Orange County. It's a Unity church in Lake Forest. And I've been hired there, and I'm grateful and I'm excited about that. I've connected with them, and I feel grateful to have the chance to do that, to make a difference somewhere else with my heart, opening my heart. So I love every one of you. I bless you all and whatever you're, and I will be around, but I'm grateful for all that I have had here. It just is overwhelming to me, so thank you.
Bill, we also have a couple surprises for you. We have a cake for you, and we have a love box with loving messages from everyone, because we adore you, and I adore you, and you and Dean have been two very special people to me as I've grown into this community, and I really thank you for just being this spirit of happiness and joy and play and love. You exude love. Thank you. And it was Bill's, when we were having the conversation and he was telling me about this dream, and then he had this powerful affirmation vision memorized, and he just said it to us with like this power. I got God bumps, they're like goosebumps, but awe, right? And I was like, wow, this man is truly living the principles, the faith, the philosophy that he supports, and I'm very inspired by you. And so he has been a complete demonstration of what Ernest Holmes talks about in the principles of successful living. There is a twofold experience in order for us to feel more fully alive and engaged in life. And what I'd like to say before this is that I was helping my son study for his MUN conference, that's Model United Nations, where the high schoolers get together. They pretend that they are part of the United Nations. They each get a country, and then they have to talk about the issues, right? Big issues, real world issues. And this is why I have them take the class, because I want them to know that there's more than just Huntington Beach. So we're talking about Central African Republic and the civil war that's going on. And at the same time, and that's on Saturday. And at the same time, I have this message of the principles of successful living, and it just felt like, I thank God I don't watch the news. Thank God I only have Netflix, because it is daunting, and I'm a crier. I'd probably be crying every day and depressed and in bed and never want to get out if I watched the news or read the newspaper and was overwhelmed with all of that stuff. So I am glad that they are having a greater broader worldview, it's important to me that they know what's going on and that. And I am absolutely for social justice, spiritual activism, and human rights. But I know, because of practicing the science of mind philosophy, that it has to begin with us, right? It has to begin with us. Because if we're going to create a world that works for everyone, that means we have to be okay enough within ourselves to have a completely different point of view than our neighbor and still meet in the middle and shake hands and acknowledge them, right? Right. So this is a twofold experience. First, we must have, whether we allow it to be divinely intuited like Bill in this revelation he had, or whether we take time to focus on it, we must have a compelling vision for our lives. We must create a compelling vision for our lives. And it has, why I say compelling, is because if it is not compelling, it's going to be like a New Year's resolution. It's going to be like, oh yeah, I had a vision for my life, but it's kind of too hard and, whatever. Because it can be fearful, because what we're going to have to do is sometimes die to who we are now in order to open up to that vision. And sometimes what we're going to have to do is go through really, really hard experiences and know and hold on to that compelling vision. I don't know what it is for you. For me, I have a compelling vision to remind people of their goodness, of their essential nature. I have a compelling vision to raise these beautiful, sacred beings in the best way I can. I have a compelling vision to be a great partner and supporter of my husband. So I don't know what your compelling vision is, but if you don't have one, either meditate on it or just open up and say, divine universe, show me, let me feel, or bring to me, through me, my compelling vision. So this is the aspect of the science of mind and spirit that is the spirit. Any compelling vision for a greater yet to be is always spirit desiring to express itself. In this chapter, Ernest Holmes says, you don't have to go changing the world. You don't have to leave a legacy. He goes, it doesn't matter if you die tomorrow and nobody remembers that you lived. He said, what matters is that while you are alive, that you live, that you fully live. And so the second part of fully living, the second part to holding this compelling vision, is to realize and understand that this is a concept that can be kind of confusing sometimes, is that within spirit is a tool called the law of mind, or the creative process, or do you see this? You know that this isn't like a logo, right? This is the teaching symbol of the science of mind. Do you see it? You can see it right here too. You see it? This is spirit, out of which we were created. Spirit goes into this. This is a tool, this middle part. It's a tool that we have. So we take our compelling vision and we give it to this law of mind that always says yes. There's a story in the book. It says that it doesn't matter if it's a Muslim, a Jew, a Buddhist, or a Christian. Any one of them, if they turn on the light switch, the light's going to come on, right? There's this impersonal, very mechanical law that says, spiritual law, physical law, that says yes. That says yes. And what we must do as co-creators with this divine is we have got to turn our backs on every doubt. We have got to turn our backs on everything that opposes this compelling vision. This is the hard part, right? Because people are going to come up to you, you know what they say, don't cast your pearls before swine. It's like, if you have a great idea or inspiration or vision for your life, don't share it with somebody who you already know is a negative Nelly, because they're just going to bum you out, right? So you keep it in that sacred place. Maybe you share it with somebody that you can trust, who you know will hold it for you. And then you give it away. You give it, you say, this is what I know is my truth. This is my vision for my life. I know that there is a spiritual mechanical law that always says yes, and I don't have to do anything more but put it into this law and know that it's already done. And what that kind of reminds me of is, have you ever been to a casino? Anybody ever play the tables? Okay, you know when you got a dealer, and if you haven't, I'll just show you. So you got a dealer. It's always a really good one, too. And then they have to go and move on to the next table. And they do this thing with the cameras so that the casino knows that they're not stealing any money. And they do this thing where they like flip their hands and they go like that, so that you know that nothing is left, right? Like that they're not carrying anything with them. And sometimes when I do a spiritual mind treatment, which is an affirmative prayer, the way that the science of mind teaches prayer, which is recognizing that God is, and therefore we are, and therefore that which we so desire, so long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, is ours to have. So, but the end of that prayer says, in whatever way you say it, that we know that this is in process, that we've pushed it and impressed this divine mind with our idea, that now we get to let it go. We have got to let it go. Don't pull up the seed. Don't pull up, don't mess with it. Just know. And so that's why I do that sometimes at the end. I say, and so it is. It's not mine anymore. I already know it's done. The universe is all changing and rearranging itself to demonstrate my compelling vision. I can't remember who said this, but there is this analogy I heard recently that said, in the animal kingdom, a dog can't be anything but a dog. And in the plant kingdom, a tree can't be anything but a tree. But you human beings have infinite potential. And so why don't we use it? Why don't we use it? Are you using it? All the time? Well, trying? Yeah, we're trying, right? We're trying. And that's what counts, because God will not make itself manifest through cowards. Only those who are courageous enough to know that there is a better and better and better experience of life to be had. And the more we can embody this, the more we can serve others, which is what enabled me to sleep the other night when I was thinking about this civil war that was going on, and how you get, well, maybe not you. I get in my mind like, oh, how selfish is it of you to be thinking about yourself when look at what's going on. Yeah, but if I don't take care of me and get right in my own, thing between my two ears, then I'm never going to be able to support anybody else. And that's what it reminded me. And what I know is that there is something we cannot divorce, Ernest Holmes says, the two ideas and the two truths, that there is a loving companion, that there is a spiritual quiet companion with us, always leading us and guiding us, and that there is what we're going to call a mental law or a mechanical law that is always working for us or against us. It just works. It's impersonal. Because sometimes in spiritual or religious experiences, we forget that science is a part of this spirituality. And sometimes when we're focused on science, we forget that there is a divine intelligence. And so what I think is one of the greatest things about this philosophy is that we bring it all together and we use it in any means necessary and in the very clear means necessary of realizing that we are never alone, that there is a companion with us, this spiritual divine companion with us at all times, making our way known, and that what is ours to do as co-creators is to hold that compelling vision and turn our backs on everything that is opposed to it, no matter what starts showing up. It's hard, but what I've learned is that the greatest things I've ever experienced in life were not easy. You know, anything I've ever done that's been so worthwhile or fulfilling, it was kind of hard, you know. Took a lot of energy and focus. And that's what this is as well. But through these two principles, we can live a successful life. I don't really like that saying because I feel like it's more like a Tony Robbins speech, like the principles of successful living. But Ernest Holmes did say that we would use science and religion and philosophy for the, what did he say? For the human needs and aspirations of man, or women, or mankind. So in a way, it is very motivational and inspirational. So I just want to end by inviting you to repeat something after me. And if you'd like, you can repeat it with as much conviction as you'd like to, okay? Okay. Today, I see peace instead of confusion.
Today I see peace instead of confusion.
I entertain faith instead of doubt.
I entertain faith instead of doubt.
I claim health and turn my back on sickness.
I claim health and turn my back on sickness.
I see happiness instead of misery.
I see happiness instead of misery.
Let's say that again. I choose happiness
I choose happiness
instead of misery.
instead of misery.
I maintain my position as a divine being here and now. I maintain my position as a spiritual being here and now. Do you believe it?
Yes.
Then and so it is. Thank you.